come back from those vacations, those trips, leave your luggage in the garage, leave all your belongings in the garage that you can within reason. When it comes to bed bugs, the biggest thing I see when people try and do it themselves is they just don't do it all at once. Because again, like, you don't have the experience. You haven't done a couple thousand of them. You don't wash the curtains. Maybe you'll wash your laundry or your sheets or your pillowcases, but then you don't clean your dresser drawers out or wash your hoodies, that you maybe wore 2 weeks ago that actually has a bed bug or two in the pocket now because you wore it and you sat on the couch and one crawled in, or you threw it on your bed, etc. So hey everybody, Chris Shipley Pest Solutions. Just in regular wear, old throwback t-shirt. I had these printed probably 7 years ago. These with some nice hats. I think I need to get some more of these. I handed a bunch of these out. People liked them. It says, "We are the solution" on the back. Pretty nice shirt. But I'm all showered up and everything. Did some bed bug work today. And so I wanted to talk about bed bugs and bed bug season. I say this jokingly, but here we are, November, 13th. And we've seen a pretty dramatic uptick in bed bug calls. And I always joke about this because I think there's basically 3 bed bug sort of seasons or where we see a noticeable uptick in bed bug activity throughout the year. And so where we're at right now is we're almost 3 months into the school year. We're about a month removed from most fall breaks. Here in northern Indiana, a lot of people go to Tennessee, the Carolinas, some of that stuff for fall break, and then they wait for like spring break or Christmas to go to Florida. But we're about a month removed from fall breaks. And what happens a lot of times is people go on these vacations, they go somewhere, they take the luggage, the suitcase, the backpacks, all that stuff. They go to like Tennessee Valley, Nashville, Gatlinburg, stuff like that. Come back, and about a month later, they start getting these mysterious bites on them or rashes. And inevitably, some of them end up being bed bugs. And what happens this time of year is it's cold. It's, mid 40s, 50s, starting to freeze at night or getting real close. And so people can start to deduce, hey, I don't think these are mosquitoes anymore. And so, because traditionally we'll see sort of a downtick in the summer. School starts, so you get kids back in school. So some of the bed bug activity creeps up because if they had bed bugs at home, now those kids are possibly bringing them to the school. And so then the nurses get involved, and then those, that whole proper chain of command will get notified. Kid brings the school together, they get isolated, they go to the nurse. Then the nurse has her protocol that she'll have. She contacts the families. Then the families basically have to do something about it. And so we'll see an uptick, again, about 30, 45 days as school starts. Then fall break happens. And so we've seen sort of this swell up of bed bug activity here the last like 6 weeks. And so I always joke about bed bug season. And so I want to talk about that because there's some real legitimate upticks throughout the year based on humans' travel patterns. And the reason I say it that way is because bed bugs are a parasite. Their food source is humans. They're going to take a blood meal from a human. So bed bug biology, if you will, bed bug 101. They get laid as an egg, takes 5 to 7 days, they hatch, then they're in that first instar, or a newly hatched bed bug, takes again about 5 to 7 days. About every single week, they go through what are called instars. I believe it's a total of 5. They size up all the way, and then they become an adult bed bug. So that whole process takes 45-ish days before they're a mature adult bed bug. And then males and females, they'll do their thing, get together, and then they will make young ones. When a female is impregnated, she can lay multiple eggs a day, 5 to 7, biologically is what the entomologist and research will show. But basically, what we've learned over the years is that the rough math I've always used is basically bed bugs can multiply by about times 10 every 30 days. So use kind of some rough math on that. If you get ideal conditions, now when I refer to ideal conditions moving forward here, let's picture a completely immobile, bedridden person, elderly person, in a medical bed in their home, and they're just constantly being fed on. Okay, so there's no vacuuming, no cleaning, no pesticides being used. This is just pure lab studies. The bed bugs are let loose. They take a blood meal whenever they want, and they just go. So we'll use that as our example here as I move forward. So ideal conditions. And so ideal conditions, you get a mature bed bug 45-ish days. So now back up to this fall break. A lot of these were about 30 days removed from that. You go on a vacation, you come home, you set your bags, your luggage, whatever, in your bedroom. Week or two goes by because the average feeding of a bed bug is about once every 5 to 10 days. Seems to differ so about once a week is what a bed bug is going to take a blood meal for. Then they're going to go crawl back up, that bed frame, that mattress, that headboard. They're going to hide along the seam here. Then 5-7 days later, they're going to crawl back down, come over, take a blood meal. Now, it's that CO2 that we emit is how they know that a food source is there. So that normally takes a couple weeks before people are getting these weird bites. Oh, it's cooling down. It's not mosquitoes. And it normally takes about, 4 to 6 weeks for people where we start to get the calls. And so here we are, mid-November, the start of what I like to call sort of this winter bedbug season, because we're doing a ramp up. Holidays are coming, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So if people do know they have bed bugs, we're getting some calls now that, I want this taken care of before Thanksgiving. And then we'll get calls after Thanksgiving. Well, my sister from Tennessee, she came to stay, and she's no good. She's dirty. She's filthy. And I think she brought them. And I want this taken care of before Christmas. And so we'll get them again after Thanksgiving, where people want this sort of taken care of before Christmas, before the family get-togethers and all this. And then what happens inevitably after Christmas is people go on their Christmas vacations. They go visit family. They go to Florida. They travel around. They go wherever. They might pick up bed bugs, bring them home. And so late January, February, we see an uptick again. And it always correlates to these heavy travel patterns around humans. And then in the spring, we see a massive uptick again post-spring break. And so when your spring breaks are going on there through March, late March into early April, we always see a massive uptick April, May. And then it just kind of cools and almost flattens out during the summer. I think a lot of it is people are just focused on other things. If they might have bed bugs, maybe they don't know it because mosquitoes are out. Oh, it's other stuff. Oh, I'm allergic to grass. I could be getting bit by something else. They don't make the connection or the correlation of what it is until they physically find a bug. So it's not that we don't do any work during the summer, but it definitely dips off. And so this is where I probably 4 or 5 years ago, I started to notice sort of the seasonality of it here in northern Indiana for us. And it strictly revolves around travel patterns from people traveling to and from places with that 4 to 6 week delay, and then we get an uptick. And so having done this long enough now, it was like, oh, of course, there's a seasonality of it because humans are traveling, humans pick them up. And so one of the things I always try and do is educate people. Plastic totes are great. Get a plastic tote. I don't have one close. Just generic plastic tote. These are great to isolate your clothing, isolate your bags. If you're an in-home healthcare nurse, you work at a nursing home facility, you take care of somebody that might have them, you go over volunteer with the church, you're going over to help, the old lady or the old man that maybe they need some help with some stuff, you find out they have bed bugs. Never come back into your house, your bedroom, take your clothes off, then get in the shower and put your clothes in the hamper. What you should do is when you come back to that garage, if you have a plastic tote, if you're a nurse or in-home health care, work at a nursing care facility, you have some exposure to bed bugs regularly, buy a $5 plastic tote, disrobe, put all your clothes in that plastic tote. They can't really crawl out of that plastic tote. Leave it in the garage, utility room, mud room, wherever. And then when it comes time to do that laundry, you do that laundry. And if so, isolate it, if you want. Just do that laundry isolated. And then that laundering process, that washing, will help take care of it. But that drying process, sustained heat, 120 degrees or higher for longer than 30 minutes. And so most normal high heat settings on dryers are going to achieve that. And so that is one way that will eliminate bed bugs. We know this from a biological standpoint. When they're exposed to high heat, above 120 degrees, for longer than 30 minutes in that dryer setting, it will kill them. Most dryer settings are going to run for an hour or so, let alone that's if any bed bugs survive the washing process. And so really laundry is a very good defense against bed bug exposure. So that's going to help mitigate some of your risk. You come back from that vacation, the luggage, your backpack, all this stuff, it no longer goes in your bedroom. Leave it in I don't care if it's the shed, the garage, again, mudroom, if you've got a breezeway, devote some area if you're going to travel regularly so you can help mitigate some of your risk when it comes to the exposure to bed bugs, because they're a real exposure and they're a real risk right now. And we're kind of moderate to low end on our pricing because of where we're at and where the market supports. But an average bed bug job for us is going to be $1,000 to $1,300 for a house. Now that's the initial service. We vacuum, we chemically treat, we do a follow-up 14 days later, and then you have a third and fourth treatment if you need it. We average right at 2 treatments. That vacuum and chemical treatment initially, and then a follow-up chemical treatment gets rid of them. Literally over 90%. We have the data to back it up. I've done this for almost 4 years now with this exact protocol in our system. I've done this protocol longer, but I literally have the empirical data to look at. So I know that's how effective our protocol is. And so I always try and give this advice to people. Do not bring your stuff back in. Do not try and limit your exposure. Go on the vacations. Go have fun. You could certainly, I've got an old school video on the YouTube channel here. If you'd like and subscribe. But it is how to inspect a bed bug, or how to inspect a hotel room. And it's quite literally just looking for any of those feces stains. It's going to look like somebody took like a black ballpoint pen and just dotted along the corner tufts of the mattresses, the box springs, even like the headboard in a hotel room. And what those are literal feces stains. After they take a blood meal, then, they do their doo-doo, and then that's left behind, and that's going to stain because it's blood. And so that's a quick and easy thing to help mitigate some of your risk when you're traveling as well. But then to just mitigate it as much as possible, when you come back from those vacations, those trips, leave your luggage in the garage, leave all your belongings in the garage that you can within reason, and then launder them all. Now, when it comes to electronics, the kids' switch, your laptops, your tablets, all that stuff, yes, they can get on those electronic devices, but I don't find them very often on electronic devices. Those times I find them on electronic devices, the tablet or the switch is literally right up next to the headboard, which is next to the pillow, and it lays there every night, and the person might play it till they fall asleep. And so the bed bugs will just literally live there because it's directly adjacent to that CO2 being emitted. And you'll hear me say this a lot. Nature is efficient. It will not work hard if it doesn't have to. If it could live a foot from its food source, it will do so. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the seasonality of bed bugs that I've experienced over the years and years, and now have a lot of data to kind of support it. I've done a couple thousand bed bug jobs, so I also have that to back up. That's getting less and less anecdotal the more jobs I do, just because the data set that I can look at from my personal experience now with digital data that I can literally pull up and look at. There's a massive uptrend November, December, then we get to February, March, and then after spring break again, April, May, and then it kind of flattens out in the summer, and then we see an uptick again right about 4 or 6 weeks after school starts again. And again, that's just those kids going back into the school environment, bringing bed bugs to school. The nurse gets notified, and the parents get told they got to do something because now the kids are an exposure, and a risk to the rest of the school and their classmates. And so hopefully this helps. I'd be happy to talk a lot more about bed bugs. Again, like and subscribe. Please ask me some questions. There's a lot of misnomers and a lot of misinformation out there for bed bugs too. And some of the misinformation is actually kind of correct. But I get I did the peppermint oil, I did the mothballs, I bought these things, these little level things where the base of the bed frame sits in so they can't crawl out and it catches them. Yeah, those are true. They're not going to get rid of your problem because they're going to live in other areas. They're going to live in the nightstands. They're going to hang on the curtains. They're going to get behind the headboard. They're going to get on the mattress. They're going to get on the box spring. And ultimately, I'm one of these people that I'm pretty tight to a dollar, but there are things that I always recommend a professional on. I don't do my own plumbing. I don't do my own electrical. I've gotten very good at killing bugs, and so I can pay people to do the things that I don't feel comfortable with or I'm not as good at. And when it comes to bed bugs, the biggest thing I see when people try and do it themselves is they just don't do it all at once. because again, like, you don't have the experience. You haven't done a couple thousand of them. You don't wash the curtains. Maybe you'll wash your laundry or your sheets or your pillowcases, but then you don't clean your dresser drawers out or wash your hoodies, you know, that you maybe wore 2 weeks ago that actually has a bed bug or two in the pocket now because you wore it and you sat on the couch and one crawled in, or you threw it on your bed, etc. So hopefully this helps. Bed bug season, I think it's a thing just based on human travel patterns. Have a good day.